Hi everyone, welcome back to the Massive Fan Podcast. I'm your host Sun. If you're new to this channel, welcome. If you're back after watching my series on Moonlight Chicken and maybe you went and checked out the series as well, welcome back. Today I'm starting to talk about a new series called The Untamed. The way my podcast works is I start with a video where I review the show itself, and then I take different aspects of the show, usually relationships in the show that I'm interested in, and I dive deeper into those relationships. I talk about my thoughts on them. I love to hear the thoughts of viewers on those particular relationships. And with Moonlight Chicken, which is a Thai BL drama, it's the first series that I covered. I had a lot of lovely people who came in, watched the show, engaged with me in the comments, shared their thoughts and points of view, whether they agreed or disagreed with me. It was so much fun doing that show. It's one of my favorites, so I'm glad I was able to get that kind of engagement with that series. I'm hoping to do the same with this one. But given the nature of the show that I've chosen, The Untamed is actually based on a very, very popular and extensive Chinese novel series called Modao Zushi. The English translation of that is The Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation. I think it would be kind of doing a disservice to the show itself to just go right into talking about the show without talking about the source material and all the adaptations that go with it. So this series I'm going to approach slightly differently. This video is going to be more about all of the different adaptations, my thoughts on these adaptations, what order I think you should watch or read them in. And then the following video will be my actual review of the drama itself. Without further ado, let's get started. So Modao Zushi is a story about heroism. It's a story about what is right, what is wrong, why things are not always black and white. It's a story warning about mob mentality and the dangers of following public opinion without taking the time to educate yourself and find out more about a particular situation. It's a story about found family. It's a story about betrayal and, political intrigue. There are so many themes in this story, and you would think, as is often the case when a story has so many different themes going with it, you would think that it kind of loses its way and, plot points go awry and the story isn't treated with care. But one of the things I have to give to the author here is the way she has built the world here, the way she has evolved the characters really naturally. The story is exactly what you need it to be in all its different parts. Every character just kind of captures you and reels you in, including like side characters who are there for maybe like a few chapters. Everyone's story is so heartfelt and told in such a way that you really identify with each character. So definitely an amazing storyline to base a series off of. But I think it's important to note that Modao Zushi is not just the novel. In fact, because it was so popular, because the novel caught the hearts of so many people, it has been adapted in, I think, no less than 5 or 6 different ways. There is the original novels themselves in Chinese, and then obviously they have been translated in English and are available on Amazon to be bought. The series is called The Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, and there are 5 volumes. If you have the money for it, I highly recommend purchasing the books and reading it. Yes, the translation's a little bit here and there in parts, but the story is so beautiful. These 2 characters, Wei Wuxian and Lan Wangji, are amongst my all-time favorite characters. The story is at least the novel version of the story is very much a boys love LGBT storyline. There are two male characters who do eventually end up together. So yes, that is one aspect of the story to be aware of before you get into it, especially when reading the novel, because it's quite explicit there that they do end up in a relationship together. But like I said, different adaptations. There is the novel, which has been translated. There is the manhua, which is the Chinese version of manga. Comics, basically. You can go read the comic somewhere online. It's available on several sites. You can go check it out. Modao Zushi, it's usually you can find it in that name. Aside from the manhua, there's also the donghua, which is the Chinese equivalent of an anime. The animation style, so if you've not watched a Chinese donghua before, the animation style will blow your mind. Like they do, it's quite different from a Japanese anime, purely in the way I think they draw their characters and how it's animated. But there is a bit of a difference. If you watch enough anime, you can tell the difference between the two. But I mean, one doesn't lose out to the other. Donghuas are amazingly beautiful to watch, and Moda Zushi is definitely up there as one of the most beautiful donghwas that I've watched. So there is an anime, there is an audio drama that you can, I think parts of it are available online on YouTube, but you can buy the CDs, etc. in both Japan as well as China, I believe. Recently in Japan, they actually did a stage play of Moda Zushi as well. So here you can already tell there are all these different ways in which the series has been adapted, and that's not even going into how the score has been brought into orchestra concerts and replayed several times by several different artists. It's really captured the imagination of several. But one of the most popular adaptations of the series, of the story, is The Untamed, which is the live-action adaptation starring Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo, who play Wei Wuxian and Lan Wangji respectively. The live-action adaptation is what I'm going to go into in more detail for the course of these videos, but I kind of wanted to take this time to lay out the breadth and depth of the Moda Zushi universe. I think one thing that's important to call out is that different adaptations have different takes of the story. So it isn't that you read the novel and you're going to watch the same thing in the anime, or if you watch the anime, then the same thing gets translated in the drama, right? Actually, especially taking those three pieces of media into account, each of them tell a slightly different story. The donghua and the novel are kind of fairly keep in pace with each other, though the donghua does move things around here and there. They tell the story a little differently. But if you take Moda Zushi as a series of checkpoints, all of the checkpoints do get kind of visited in the donghua. The live action series, which is The Untamed, actually has a, I won't say completely different take, but it does go in a very different direction from the novel itself. The source material is true in the sense that the characters are the same, the relationships between different characters are the same. The overall plot and all of that, and then the general pull and push between all of the various storylines, that all stays the same. A lot of the themes and how things are conveyed stay the same, but the vehicle through which the story is told is quite different. In the novel, they're able to just go into some themes that can't be explored in a live action series that aired all over China and actually all over the world, but all over China is what's important here, because censorship is obviously a thing, and so there was a lot that they had to change about the storyline for the drama in order to get it through censorship and get it out. And so for that reason, actually the drama and the novel can be looked at as almost like if the drama was an alternate universe of the novel, right? That's how I kind of think about it in my head. The novel, if it is a source material, the drama is like a really good AU of the novel. And each adaptation is definitely treated with care, and I think they're all beautiful in their own rights. I definitely highly recommend that you give them a shot in whatever order. Actually, there isn't any particular order that you should consume them in. If you start with the novel, because that is, the source material, I actually started, I can tell you my journey with it and give you an idea of how it doesn't really matter where you start. You'll probably end up in the same place, which is consuming all the different types of the story. I actually stumbled upon the manhua or the manga in 2020 during COVID lockdowns. Generally life was a little bit strange in those times, and I think I was consuming a lot of manga and different media in general, just trying to keep myself busy in that whole period of time when you couldn't step out, couldn't go meet people. And I stumbled across the manhua. The manhwa was not finished at that time, so I went through whatever was there and published online, and it kind of ended in a bit of a cliffhanger, and the story wasn't over yet, and I was desperate to find out how it ended. So I did a little bit of research, and I found out that, hey, like most really good manga, it does have an anime associated with it, or a donghua in this case. And so I watched the donghua. The donghua had 2 seasons out, and the manhwa and the donghua, like I said, manhwa is almost exactly the novel. So they tell the story in a particular flow. The donghua really rearranges how they tell the story. So there were parts of the story revealed in the donghua which I had not yet come across in the manhwa. And so I said, okay, now I have even more questions, except the donghua was also not done. And that's when I found out that, hey, okay, all of these things are based on a novel, and that at the time the novel's translations were available online. So that's when I completely read and finished the story of Modazushi. Now, it took me a while to actually get to the drama, because there are a lot of people who split on their opinions of the drama, because while the novel, the manhwa, the donghua have very clear-cut happy endings for the characters, the live-action drama, because of what I mentioned earlier about censorship, they didn't have the freedom to go all out with the storyline the way the rest of the adaptations did. And so they had their own take on how the story ought to end. I'm not going to spoil anything, but most people who come into watching the Untamed are kind of sort of familiar with the nature of the ending, so I am going to touch upon it a little bit just to alleviate some fears. A lot of people who start with the novel or the manhwa or the donghua actually may not be big fans of how the live action adaptation ends, because at the end of the day it's not clear cut. Like the 2 characters don't end up together in the way they do in every other adaptation, and that's obviously for censorship reasons and in order to be able to get the drama out and airing. But what they do is very clever. Like there is a hopeful ending. It is an ending where they kind of imply a certain way forward for the characters. And I actually, the more I watch the drama, the more times I watch it, the more I love the way that ended as well. So give it a chance. I definitely don't write it off. I don't want to give too much away. I will be going more into a review of the drama in my next video. This one is going to be kind of short. I just wanted to touch on the different adaptations. I wanted to give you an overview of the Untamed as well as Modazushi and get you excited about the videos up ahead. In terms of what I'll cover in this series, I will probably Obviously, I will touch on Wang Xian, which is the relationship between the two main characters, Wei Wuxian and Lan Wangji. I will also probably do an episode each on each of their relationships with their respective families, which is the Jiang family for Wei Wuxian and the Lan family for Lan Wangji. I would also probably do an episode or a video on Wei Wuxian and the Wens, and my thoughts on how that all played out. There might be more. I'm also trying, like, the thing with this story is it's so complex and so nuanced that there is so much you can go into. I'll have to kind of pick and choose and see what I want to do with this series, but I'm very excited to talk about it. I'm very excited to share it with all of you. I hope you stay tuned and enjoy the series with me. If you haven't already given me a follow over on X, the handle is over here. Please do give me a follow, say hi, DM me. If you haven't checked out my series, my video series on Moonlight Chicken, go ahead, give that a try. If you've not watched Moonlight Chicken, I have the series, the link to the series in my videos, in each of the videos. So please do feel free to check it out. It's a great series, and I had a lot of time going into different discourse about the series itself. That's it for this video. I hope to see you all in my next video. Please do leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to stay tuned. This is Sun signing off.